Welcome to Denver Parks and Recreation at Home. My name is Kelly Garrison, and today we're going to be doing a 30-minute basketball fitness workout. All right. So before we get into the workout, at home, if you're following along, go ahead, pause the video, take about 3 to 5 minutes just to get your heart rate up. If you're outside, that could be just jogging around the space that you have. You could be doing some line hop side to side or even jumping jacks. The idea here is that we just want to get our heart rate elevated before we start working. All right. So once you have your active warm-up logged in the books, we're going to go ahead and get into some dynamic stretching. All right, so the reason that we're doing dynamic stretching is it's to prepare your body for the actual workout, right? Instead of static stretching where you're just standing still, that's more for like a cool down recovery. Dynamic actually prepares your body to either compete in the sport or do the workout. So I'm going to start on the baseline and we're going to walk through about 10 dynamic exercises. All right, so we're going to start out nice and slow. The first one is a quad stretch, all right? So your first movement is you're going to take your left hand and you're going to grab your left leg, all right? You're going to pull your heel up against your body as far as you can until you feel that stretch, but not so much that it hurts, all right? Go ahead and stretch your right hand up into the air. You're going to extend your abs, get a nice stretch, and then you're going to switch. Take a step forward, same thing on the other side. Pause for a second at the top, take another stretch. All right, and we're just going to repeat this for about 10 yards. All right, once you reach the point where you're done with that stretch, turn around, jog back to the line, and we'll do the next one. All right, so the next stretch is for your hamstrings. It's going to be opposite of your quads. And the same thought here, you're going to be walking and going at the same time. So you're going to reach your knee up to your chest, give it a squeeze, pause at the top. You should feel the stretch in your hamstrings and your glutes. Go ahead and lower slowly, take a step forward, and switch sides. Good. It's important that you don't try to rush through these. Make sure you're getting a good stretch at the top. You're nice and balanced and under control before you take your next step. All right, last one. Turn and jog back. All right, this next stretch is also for your hamstrings, but it's a little bit more dynamic. You're just going to try to keep your leg as straight as possible. And you're going to touch your toes when you swing it out. All right, so I'm going to start with my right leg, and my left hand is going to be doing the touching. Okay. Nice and under control on the way down. Notice how I didn't swing it back. Control it, drop it nice and slow. Making sure that you're on balance. Good. Last one, turn and jog. All right, so this next one is going to be, it's an RDL, which is an acronym for Russian deadlift, with a lunge. So it's going to be a combo exercise. So pay attention, there's a couple parts you have to string together here. All right, so the first part, your knee goes up so that it's at a 90-degree angle. All right, so we're here. You're going to tip down, balancing on your same foot, back up, and then step into a lunge. Now switch feet. Up with the left, tip, up, lunge, right foot up, tip, up, lunge. Go ahead and finish that off all the way to your 10-yard marker. All right, perfect. So when you're doing the lunges, it's important to remember that you want to make sure that your knee never goes out in front of your toe. So if I'm doing a left step, I want to make sure that my knee and my heel are in line, and I'm not all the way out front because that puts a lot of stress on your knee, and it's going to do more harm than good. All right? Jog it back for the next. All right, so this one is going to be, this is a combination for your hips. We're going to do a lateral squat. but we're gonna go over the hurdle, okay? So it's an imaginary hurdle here. So I'm gonna take a big step down into a squat. Same thing, we're making sure that our knees aren't out in front of our toes. Nice and square, flat back. Up, pivot over the hurdle, into your next squat. Down, up, pivot forward, up, over the hurdle, down. All right, and then finish out. Cool, jog it back. All right, so that's our stretching series. Now we're gonna get into a little bit more of a transition into our agilities. So I'm gonna show you a series of skips that you can do to get your feet ready for the next drills that we have, okay? So the first one is just a basic skip, but you really wanna focus on being on the balls of your toes, driving that knee up, and then driving down into the ground nice and quick. You wanna try to keep your feet off the ground as much as possible. Focus on really quick steps and maintaining an upright posture, good balance, okay? So here we go, basic skips. Good, all right, jog it back. All right, so the next one, we're gonna focus on exploding, right? These are power skips. So it's the same motion. You've got opposite elbow, opposite knee, but you're gonna jump as high as you can at the top of each, and then you're gonna rebound quickly and get up again, all right? Okay, very good, bring it back. All right, so the next one, we're just gonna do high knees. So there's no skipping here. We're just gonna go nice and quick, light on our feet, making sure that your arms are at a 90-degree angle, moving cheek to pocket, and focus on speed here, okay? So here we go, high knees. All right, okay, bring it back to the baseline. Now we're gonna work the opposite muscle group. We're gonna do heel ups. So same thing, you're gonna keep your arms at that 90-degree cheek to pocket movement, but you're gonna kick your heel up, all right? Here we go. Nice and quick, stay on the balls of your feet. Very good. All right, so that is your dynamic warm-up before we get into our line drills. All right, so now that we have our dynamic warm-up out of the way, we're gonna move into some line drills that focus on improving players' agility and quickness. So if you're doing a full workout where you're gonna have shooting and conditioning later, it's really important that if you wanna do anything like agilities, quickness, or plyometrics, that you do those at the beginning of your workout. The reason for that is you want to train those muscle systems to act quickly. If they're already fatigued, you're not going to get a whole lot out of the workout. Okay? So basically we're going to go through 5 drills, and all you really need is a line. So sometimes you'll see people doing all these drills on speed ladders. For simplicity's sake, we're just going to use this red line back at the back of the court. So yeah, obviously you could lay out some cones in a park, or you could use even a crack in a parking lot or sidewalk. All right? So the key here is you're the same thing as like when we were warming up with our dynamic warm-up. You want to be on the balls of your feet, all right, nice and stable, and with your knees bent, all right? If you're coming down and you're striking with a straight leg, that's going to lead to joint issues, and you're going to start noticing some pain pretty quickly, okay? All right, so our first drill is going to be called a 1-foot jab. So I'm going to show you facing the camera, and then we're going to go back to the red line, and you'll get a lateral view of it as well. So for this drill, I'm going to start on the right side of the line with both feet if we're using this purple line. And the idea here is I'm just going to jab my right foot across the line, bring it back, take a step. Right, jab, back, step. Right, jab, back, step. Okay, so obviously we're going to speed that up, but if you need to go slow to get the movement right at first, that's probably the pace you want to start with, and then pick it up as you get more comfortable. All right, so here's the front view, and then we'll go back to the line. Okay, so we're going to do it full speed on this line at the back so you can get a lateral view. I'm going to start on the right side, and then when I get to the end, I'm going to turn it around, and then the line's going to be on my left side, so I'm working both sides. All right, single foot jab, here we go. All right, switch it. Now we're going to do the left side. first one, I caught myself. I wasn't using my hands at all. It's really important, especially once you get the foot pattern down, that you want to start simulating actually moving within an athletic event, right? Pumping your arms, maintaining that 90-degree angle, and yeah, it'll help you out with your balance and your speed down the road, all right? So for the next one, this is going to be a 2-foot hop. Yes, so I'm going to start on the right side, and basically I'm going to keep my feet together, knees slightly bent, light on my toes, just bouncing back and forth, okay? As you bounce back and forth, you're going to like slowly progress up the line until you get to the other side. All right, here's a front view. All right, so let's take it back to the line. All right, here we go, starting on the right side, 2-foot hop. Same thing, I'm going to start on the left side this time, and I'm going to remember to use my hands. All right. Notice how when I was using my hands, I ended up being lower and a lot more under control. All right? All right, so the next drill is called the Icky Shuffle. Icky spelled I-C-K-Y. That's after a famous professional football player. He had really quick feet. A lot of times you'll see this drill done on a speed ladder, which is like the boxes in a row. We don't have one of those today, and we know that most people don't outside of this either. So we're going to use this purple line. And the footwork for this, I'm going to do it nice and slow at first, and then we'll speed it up. So I'm going to be stepping on the line as the middle point. So if I start to the right of the line, it's going to go right, and then you're going to put your left foot on the line and out, left, right, right, left, out. Left, right, out. Right, left, out. Left, right, out. Make sense? Okay. So we're going to speed that up going forward, and then I'm going to take it back to the red line so you can see a lateral view of it. All right? So here we go. All right. So let's go back to the red line and do it laterally. All right, here we go. Same thing, coming back. Make sure that you're moving your arms, all right? Making sure we're staying on balance. Here we go. All right, very good. So the next one we're gonna do, this is a 2-foot lateral shuffle, all right? We're gonna be touching the line again in this one. And I'm gonna show you from the front view again, and then we'll go back to the line. So imagine that I'm using this purple line and I'm going to be stepping on it. If I'm moving to my right, I'm going to lead with my right foot. So it's just going to go right, left, off, on, off, off, on, off, and then we speed it up. All right, same thing, we're going to go the other way. So if you're moving to your left, you're going to step with your left foot first. All right, here we go. All right, so now we're going to do 2-foot lateral shuffles going this way. All right, we're going to use this yellow to purple line as our marker. All right, just like we said, right foot goes first. If you're moving to your right, switch it up on the way back. Here we go. All right, same thing, going back. This time we're leading with the left. So our last one, this is going to be a single leg hop. This is really great for young athletes, ACL injury prevention. It teaches your leg to absorb the impact basically by itself, all right? So same thing, we want to make sure that our knee is never locked all the way straight out. We want to keep some bend in it. We want to make sure that you're engaging your quads and your hamstrings and your glutes while also staying on the balls of your feet, okay? So this one, I'm going to start with my right leg. It's nice and easy. You're just going to bounce over the line and just work your way forward. Okay, same thing on the left side. Start here, bounce our way forward, keeping your balance. All All right, so let's go back to the red line and speed it up. All right, right foot, here we go. Okay. All right, same thing coming back, this time with the left leg. Very good. So that is your 5 drill agility line workout. All right, so our next drill, this is going to focus on quickness, and it's a little bit of conditioning too. This is called X slides. So obviously I'm here on a basketball court, so I have some natural boundaries. I'm going to use the lane, moving from the block to the elbows as my space. So that's about a 10 by 10 square, okay? If you're in a park, you can do this with cones or shoes or whatever you have to kind of mark the space. So for basketball, we're gonna focus on moving really, really quickly, right? You're at a sprint going forward. We're gonna close out like we're on defense with our hands up. Your chest is open, your tail is down, knees are bent, right? So we're gonna close out under control. When we get to this elbow, I'm immediately gonna pivot about 45 degrees, and I'm gonna defensive slide back to the block. All right, when I get to the block, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna sprint forward to the elbow, close out high hands, and then I'm gonna slide to the opposite block, all right? Pushing all the way back down, staying nice and low, and that's one set, all right? So there's 2 ways you can do this drill. You can do it as a conditioning drill, where you go through about 5 times continuously, right? Working on your endurance and kind of that grit factor right at the end of the games. Today, I'm gonna do it as more of a quickness workout, so that means that I'm actually gonna recover in between each set, okay? So that'll give me some time to critique my form as well, all right? So we're gonna start back here on the left block. All right, so when I'm ready to go, the first thing I wanna focus on is having an efficient movement pattern. All right, you'll see a lot of young players, if you're getting ready to do like line drills or any kind of sprint workout, naturally sometimes their first reaction is to take a step back and then to go. All right, so that's not efficient, right? We want to be moving forward at all time. You're slowing yourself down if you take that step back. So in this, you can sacrifice a little bit of speed during your sprint for an efficient start, all right? So I'm gonna start with my feet square here, and I'm really gonna focus on pushing off and going directly into that run, all right? Making sure that I'm not dropping that foot. And so then when I get to the other side, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna be mindful and make sure that I'm switching which foot that I'm stepping with first, all right? So that way you're able to do both feet whenever you need to in a real game, okay? So all right, we're gonna go through 1 rep, and then we're gonna rest. All right, here we go. Forward to the elbow, close out. Slide, slide, slide. Thing. Forward to the elbow. Slide, slide, slide. And that's 1, all right? So it's probably gonna take you about 10 seconds to get through that. A good ratio is about a 2 to 1, right? So if it's gonna take me 10 seconds to get through the actual work, I'm gonna rest for 20, and then I'm gonna go again, all right? All right, so round number 2, same thing, making sure that you're alternating your starting foot, close out nice and low. This time I'm gonna focus on closing out a little bit quicker and then changing directions, all right? So here we go. Drops. Right foot. Good, all right, 20-second rest. So if you notice, when I'm closing out, I'm sprinting and then I start to break down, so I change levels. All right, I go from upright sprint, down nice and low. In this drill, I cheated it a little bit because I already know that I'm going to the right. So I was closing out, my left foot was up. So in a basketball game, you'll have some situations, right, where you're guarding a player that you know likes to go right or left. In your head as a defender, when you close out and they get the ball passed to them, you can already, depending on which foot you make your high foot, you can influence them to go one way or the other, all right? All right, so let's go through round number 3. So this time, I'm gonna focus on my slides, all right? So we'll go through slow motion. You close out, nice and low. And now when I go through my slides, sometimes you'll see young players when they're first learning to shuffle, they'll click their heels. All all right? We want to avoid that, all right? You want to pretend that there is about a foot bar in between your feet, all right? You don't ever want your feet to come any closer than that, okay? So always try to keep them about shoulder width apart at the most narrow. That'll help you with your speed and also kind of keep you from getting crossed up, okay? Here we go. Close out. Shuffle. Nice and low, feet wide. Sprint. Shuffle. And slide. All right. Cool. So that is X slides. Again, you can focus on quickness by giving yourself some rest in between the reps, or you can do it for conditioning and just go straight through. All right, so we're gonna finish our workout with a little bit of core and strength. All right, so I have a basketball. Obviously you can use either like a medicine ball or anything that's nice and solid. A soccer ball would probably work as well. But we're gonna incorporate the ball into all of these exercises that we're gonna do here at the end. All right, so we have 4 exercises, and I'm gonna go through each of those. It's gonna be a 3-round circuit, okay? So the first exercise we're gonna start with is called a ball plank. So it's gonna be similar to like a plank that you would do in yoga, or you see people doing at the gyms. But instead, I'm actually gonna have my hands are gonna be on the ball, all right? So that's gonna introduce a element of instability, right? So I'm gonna do this facing the camera, and then we'll do a lateral view as well, all right? So the movement here, I'm gonna make sure that the ball is lined up with my shoulders, right? I like to put my thumbs up on the ball. It kind of helps them from sliding off the side. But yeah, obviously play with that and do what's comfortable for you. So we're gonna be in a nice plank position. Feet are about shoulder width apart. Ball is directly under our shoulders. And so the movement here, I'm gonna take my knee, this is my left knee, I'm gonna move it up and touch the ball. All right, same thing, switch it to the right side. All right, so we're gonna go through this 20 reps, so it's 10 on each, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 for a total of 20. All right, notice it's really important to do this nice and slow, especially where the ball is not very stable, right? And you're wiggling around. If you're using nice controlled motions, A, it's safer, right? You're not gonna fall off the ball, and B, you're actually getting more work with your core, using it to stabilize your body, all right? So those are ball planks, and then I'll show you a side view as well, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and spin around laterally, all right? Thumbs up, ball under our shoulders. All right, and this time I'm just gonna do 10 reps, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Cool. All right, so the key with planks, right, you wanna make sure that your body is nice and flat. If you think about your pelvis, sometimes when you start to get tired, your back will naturally like arc and start to get that dip in it. If you tuck your pelvis, keep everything nice and tight, that'll keep your back from dipping, all right? So the next one we're gonna do is V-ups, all right? So we're just gonna do this one from a side angle. These have a lot of names. Sometimes they'll be like dead bugs or suitcases. For this one, we're gonna actually use the ball in our hands. If you're using a medicine ball, obviously start off really conservative, right? You don't wanna try to start off with a 20, work up to that, all right? So but for now, we're just gonna use this basketball. So the V-up, I'm gonna start laying on my back with my hands over my head, and we're gonna move our arms and our legs simultaneously to meet at the top. All right, so there's 1, you're gonna hold for a second, squeeze, back down, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and then we're gonna finish off, we're gonna go for 20 reps. Pretty good. All right, so those are V-ups with the ball. The next one we're gonna do is a variation on a Russian twist. So to show you the starting position here, you're gonna be balancing on your rear, right? Your feet are gonna be off of the ground, so you're creating a V with your body, right? You're back at an angle like this. To start, you can do this a couple ways, right? You can do a traditional Russian twist, where you're just tapping the ball on either side of your body, right? This is gonna work your obliques specifically, but everything in that core area. If you wanna take it up a notch and challenge yourself and work on your ball handling a little bit, we can actually do a figure 8 weave in between our legs, okay? So nice and slow, this is gonna look like between, wrap it around, between. You can scissor your legs a little bit if you need to. All right, so I'm gonna do 30 total, 15 if you wanna just count every time it goes around the right. That one's tough. All right, so the next one, this is actually gonna be our last one in the series. This is gonna be a push-up, just a standard push-up, but we're actually gonna put the ball on one of our hands, all right, to create a little bit of a different level, and then I'm gonna show you how we switch it across, all right? So this is a push-up with the ball. So standard push-up position here with our hands under our shoulders. All right, I'm gonna start with my right hand on the ball, all right? We're gonna lower down, try to stay nice and level, push it up, and then you're gonna roll the ball across over to your left hand. All right, same thing, down, nice and level, up, roll it across. So that's 2, we're gonna do 10 total. Switch, 4, 6, 8, and 10. All right, very good. So that is our 4 exercise core workout. Like I said, you can play with it depending on your level of fitness. I like to go through that about 3 times. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed your workout. Thank you for joining us again. To stay updated on class offerings and program schedules, be sure to follow Denver Parks and Recreation on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Or you can check us out at denvergov.org/recreation.